Hey guys, on this video I'm going to show you how to dual boot Arch Linux and Windows, and we're gonna install the Arch Linux using the official Archinstall script, and also we will install with BTRFS subvolume. Now the first thing that you need to do is of course create a space for the Arch Linux. You can do that after booting into Windows by typing the search button, disk, management, and then we're gonna shrink the C drive. And for this purpose I'm gonna allocate about almost 20 gigabyte of space. You can see there 19.53, and then before booting or before shutting down, need to make sure you download the of course Arch Linux by going into their webpage and then downloading it from their website. You can either use the BitTorrent or you can click with the mirror close to you so you can get the download speed. Then after that, put into your Arch Linux. After you of course burn your Arch Linux into the USB and so on and so forth. But for this video, since I'm using a virtual a VM, I'm just gonna insert it into the system. So once you boot into your Arch Linux, if you need to connect to the internet, there is a instruction here using the IWCTL. I also made a video a couple years ago. I'm gonna attach that link into my description. Now to test if we have a internet, we can type in the command ping -c, sending 3 packets to whichever website you wanted to test. Now if you got this reply back, then it's confirmed that you are getting a proper signal. Okay, now before that, don't type Archinstall right away because we need to prepare first this space that we have created earlier. As you can see here, when I type lsblk, we still cannot find the 19 point something gigabyte. And in order to prepare that, we can use the command cfdisk. Now tab. Now regarding the space, make sure that you are typing the proper space or proper hard disk that you are preparing. Because if you, let's say, create, for example, in your system, it may call NVMe. If you have multiple drives, then you have a lot of the spaces here. So in order also to get, sometimes there is also a name, so you can use the command lsblkf, then you will see in here which one is which. So these two commands are very important for this project. And also just a disclaimer here, this is only applicable to UEFI. If you're using a MBR, then this procedure is not for you. And also these steps, it takes a lot of typing from your side, so be mindful about that. This will be a little bit longer video. This is because the instruction, and there's a lot of things that we have to do to prepare only the disk. So cfdisk dev sda, since this is what I have in here, sda. And listen, I can see here the 19.5 gigabyte here. Then we need to prepare. Now Archinstall requires 2 partitions at least. One is the boot partition and then one is the root partition. However, regarding the space, if you only plan to use a 1 kernel only, then 600 megabyte is more than enough. If you don't have any NVIDIA, because NVIDIA if you don't have the beta, you don't really need the Linux headers. However, it's always best to allocate more space to the boot partition, because later on when you decide to add, let's say, more kernels, then you will end up with a very tight space. The Archinstall by default is around 550 megabytes only. But since we are manually preparing the disk partition, then it's better to allocate more. But for this, I'm just gonna use 600 megabytes because I'm just gonna use one kernel only. And then if you want to have a swap partition, you may also prepare here. And for this, I'm just gonna use a 2 gigabyte of swap partition. And then the rest you can allocate as your root partition. And then before quitting, make sure to change, of course, here the boot partition. It's supposed to be with arrow up and down, and then also arrow right and left. Change the type. This is very important, EFI system, because if you don't change the EFI system, the BIOS cannot read from there. And then if you created a swap partition, of course, you need to change the Linux swap. And then the last thing, the root partition, Linux file system. And then write, enter, and then confirm with yes. As you can see here at the bottom, the partition table has been altered. Now we can quit in here. Now typing the lsblk again, as you can see here, we have the SDA 5, 6, and 7. This is what we will be working on. Now we can format first, starting from top, mkfs.bfat, capital F, 32, dev SDA 5. Now be careful with this formatting, because if you format any of this or your Windows partition, then you will not be able to boot into your Windows, and you will lose a lot of your Windows. And then if you created, of course, the swap partition, mk swap dev SDA 6, and then the SDA 7 for the root partition is gonna be BTRFS. So mkfs dot BTRFS dev SDA 7. Okay, clear? Now I'm gonna clear it. Now we need to, again, if you notice, I keep typing lsblk because this will give me a reminder. Now, before we run in the Archinstall, we need to prepare first the BTRFS subvolume for the root partition. And in order to get the partitions and the mount point, the BTRFS subvolumes and the mount point, we can refer to Archlinux website. So if you type in from your browser chroot Archlinux, then you click here the chroot part. Just zooming in. Then all the way here on the left for decimal 2 running on BTRFS. You can see here the subvolumes and the mount point. This is the mount point and this is the subvolume. Now we need to prepare both of this and mount this at the same time. Then we go back to our Archlinux, installing Archlinux. Now to prepare the subvolumes, we need to mount first this SDA7. So we can do that by typing mount dev SDA7 to MNT. And then we create the subvolumes. So you can use the BTRFS subvolume create /MNT/@. This will be the mount point for the root. Enter. And then also you can use also a shortcut BTRFS su CR. This is for the su subvolume, CR for create. slash mnt slash at home. Okay, these are the BTRFS subvolume, which is here. And then after that, we can use the arrow up. Now we will also create pkg, arrow up again, log, and then arrow up, snapshots. Now regarding the snapshots, if you're planning to use the snapper, this is very important. You can create the snapshots. But if you're planning to use the time shift, I don't think it requires the snapshot subvolumes. Although I may be wrong because I don't use time shift and on my system I'm using a snapper. But you can always delete this anyway, so it won't harm you. So we got now the partitions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, we got now the BTRFS subvolume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Now we need to create the mount points. And in order to do that, we need to unmount first, because then we can remount as BTRFS. So we can type in umount slash mnt. Now after that, we need to, let me just clear. Yes. So now we need to first prepare the mount point for the Archinstall, or sorry, for the BTRFS. Now in order to do that, we can use the same as per this, or also you have the option, if let's say you want to add compressions, add a lot of the options, then you can also do it here. So we can no, before we doing that, we need to create first a directory, because since we're going to use the Archinstall, if you follow my video, if you follow my channel, last September I posted a video about the dual booting using the Archinstall. Now I found out that we need to mount it on /mnt /archinstall install. Now don't ask me why they did this. I don't know why also the Archinstall team they decided to do this. I don't know. So don't ask me. So after we created this directory, we can then mount the initial root subvolume into this. You can type in mount, and then if you want to add a compression and also some options, you can type in a time compress equals CSTD if you want compression. If it's only compress equals CSTD, this is by up to level 3 if I remember it correctly. You can also add more compression if you want. Now, if I remember it correctly, it's up to 15 or 12 compression levels. 12 being or 15 being the highest. And then also discard equals async. And then space underscore cache equals v2. Then the subvolume, which is equals at, and then the partition is the A7, and then into mount point, which is mnt archinstall. There you go. So now it's mounted into this mount Archinstall. So now if you type in again lsblk, see here the this root subvolume is now mounted into this. Now before we mount the rest of this, we need to create first the directory for the mount points. We can type in mkdir dash parents /mnt archinstall, and then home. Arrow up again. This will be now var cache pkg, sorry, pacman. So var pacman pkg, then arrow up again, var lug, and then of course the snapshots. So this will be dot snapshots. All right, so now we have created this. Now we can remount the other subvolume. So we can press arrow up and then change the subvolume to at home. We're gonna mount first the home partition, and then also same here, mnt archinstall home, and then after that, which is the pkg, and mount it to var cache pacman pkg. Arrow up again, lug. So it's gonna be in var lug, arrow up again, snapshots, and dot snapshots. There you go. So lsblk, as you can see here, it mounted this into this mount point. Now we need to mount also the boot partition. So in order to do that, we need to again create the partition. Create the directory mnt archinstall boot, and then we can mount the SDA5 to mnt archinstall boot. Now if you also created the swap partition, this time now we can put in swap on dev SDA6. Now typing the lsblk to confirm again. As you can see here, it's mounted now to these mount points that we have assigned. lsblkf, it doesn't mention anything, so it's just there. Here you go. Now after you finish the preparation of this BTRFS subvolumes and also mounted, we can now type in archinstall. Then of course set up the way you want, mirrors, whichever closest to you, because then you will get a faster speed. And then locales, of course, locales according to your needs. This configuration, now this one, if you use the best effort, this will completely replace or completely format your hard disk. So we will not be using that. Manual partitioning, to be honest, I have not tried this. Maybe somebody of you already have tried this, but I'm actually more confused doing this. So since we mounted already our partition, we can use the pre-mounted configuration. On the question, the root directory where it's mounted, we type in mnt archinstall. Again, if you watch my video last September, this is actually how you do it. There you go. So this encryption, this is entirely up to you. Bootloader here. Regarding the bootloader, if let's say your system, your laptop, your desktop, for some reason it doesn't allow you to choose a priority for your boot, for example, it cannot find anything and it's only you can only boot from one OS, then systemd boot. You should stay with systemd boot, because on my test, the grab, for example, I have to add the boot into my UEFI, and I need to change that to be the priority number 1. Now again, I will again say, if you can choose a boot priorities, you can use either these two. To be honest, I don't know about the EFS tab, Limine, I don't know about that, so I'm just gonna talk about both these two. Now, if you have only one, or you cannot change the boot priority, then stay with system deboot, because later on I will show you how to add the windows. So we're gonna use the system deboot here. Unified kernels, this is actually, I'm not so sure, but if you type in here kernels Archlinux, this sounded like a good thing. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong though. So a single executable which can be booted directly from UEFI or automatically sourced. So probably this is okay. So I'm just gonna use true here or yes, but correct me if I'm wrong, please. If you know something, then please leave a comment down below. Swap. Don't be confused. This is a swap. This is a ZRAM. See here? A ZRAM. This is on the memory. The other one we created earlier is a swap partition. Hostname, of course, that's entirely up to you. You can type here whatever you want. Dual Arch, for example. You can always change this after you booted. Root password. If you want to enable your root user, you can do so here. If you don't want, then you can just go to user account and add a user. Now, if, for example, you didn't enable the root, you need to make sure that you have a super user, or the user that you're gonna add is on the a sudoer or a super user, because you will end up a lot of issue. Profile. Now, regarding the profile, is entirely up to you. I just want to say something. If you're planning to use the Hyperland, or you're planning to use my Arch Hyperland install, don't use this desktop environment here, because see here, it will install the Wofi, it will install the Dance and Dolphin. Now, I'm planning to change now from Dance to Sway and C. So if you're planning to use my Arch Hyperland install script, then we better just go back to, or install only the minimal. Okay? Now, of course, this is entirely up to you. And for this, I'm just gonna use the profile minimal. Audio server, be very mindful. It's better to always use, for me, at least my opinion, to use the pipewire. Kernels, of course, if you want to add all the kernels or only one kernel. Again, I'd like to go back about the boot size, boot partition size. Additional package, of course, if you're planning to use my Arch Hyperland, it only needs the Git or the Nano at least, or of course Vim. And then network configuration, if you are really new or fairly new, use the network manager. If you use this or this manual configuration, it's a big headache. It's a big headache. So network manager is still the easiest, but it's also working really nice. Time zone, of course, you can leave it as in UTC. Since I'm in South Korea, I'm just gonna use the time zone here. Optional repositories, this one is if you're planning to use your system for gaming, or it needs a 32-bit libraries, then you can enable the multi-lib. And then after that, just type install. Choose to install, and depending on your system and then on internet speed, this may take a while for you. If you have a faster connection and faster also system, it may about 5 minutes only. So I'll go back, because after that we need to chroot into the system when it asks you to, so we can add the windows. Okay, now when it asks you for this chroot, we're gonna choose yes, because we are dual booting, because we need to add the windows. So LSBLK, we need to mount this so we can copy the EFI details of the Microsoft. So we need to create first a mount point. Let's call it win, and then mount dev sda1 to mnt/win. Now if we inspect the, for example, ls mnt/win, there's the EFI. Again, EFI. Now we need to copy the Microsoft to our boot EFI. So if we also check now our boot, we need to copy the Microsoft into the EFI. So we can type in cpr/mnt/win/EFI Microsoft into boot/EFI. There you go. Now it's copy. Now if we check the contents of the boot EFI, Microsoft is already here, and this is where the Archlinux is. And then after that, you can type in exit, and then you can reboot. But for this, since I'm on a VM, I need to shut down because I need to remove first the ISO. Then see here, you can have now the Archlinux and then the Windows 10. So we're just gonna boot first into Archlinux so we can verify the FS tab. Now you type in cut etc FS tab. As you can see here, it mounted also the way we wanted. All right. Now, of course, everybody loves NeoFetch, so I'm just gonna post a small NeoFetch, and it's 251 gigabyte, 251 packages and 181 megabytes only. Now we can also reboot now into our Windows to double check. There you go. So Windows is starting as well. All right. So I hope I have given you now I hope you learned something from this video. If you have any questions, please let me know down at the comments below. If you have anything which you think that I've done wrong, you can also please leave a comment down at the description below. And also, for those of you who haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. If you like the video, please like and share also this video. Okay guys, this will be it. I will see you again on the next video. Have a good day and take good care. Bye.